What are the benefits of pitching your startup idea? So when I started out with the Reciprocity Project, by the way, if you don't know me, I am a professor of innovation, entrepreneurship, and strategy. And I created this whole Reciprocity Project to give back as much as I possibly can. So when I started this thing out, I didn't want to tell anybody about this idea because I thought it was such a cool idea. And I also was encouraged by folks to get people to write NDAs. And when I actually had these NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, they were all written up, and it was just an utter pain in the butt. What I realized is that those folks that signed these NDAs, they did nothing. Nothing happened with them. It turned out to be a giant mess. Nobody wanted to do anything, and then I ended up having to figure this thing out in a different way. And so then I ended up getting developers from another country to help me out. And we've been working on this and building this thing out, this project out. So what I want to tell you is pitching ideas and having ideas is kind of a little bit meaningless. And what you have to do is actually not necessarily having an idea about something. It's actually doing it and going through the process of actually making something. So the best similarity, or I think the best analogy to doing the sort of startup building things game is to think about becoming a piano artist, somebody that is amazing at it. And you think, like, when I say that, you understand what it actually means to go through and become a world-class musician. It takes grinding work for years and years and years. In fact, if somebody said, hey, I'm going to be a musician and it's going to happen tomorrow, they would probably laugh at you, right? Like, it's a great idea, but it goes through, and there's all this sort of stuff that you have to go through to actually do this and make it happen. Now, it's the same thing when you're going through and building out, and even if you're doing pitches for other people, right? You want to get investors. Nobody wants to invest in something that is make-believe. It's getting really hard to actually get investment. So you have to demonstrate that you're credible, and you're a nobody unless you are somebody that is, already credible. But most people are pretty much a nobody, and you have to demonstrate that you have actually put in time and effort into this thing. And what do? You just have to put in the time and effort. The other thing that ends up happening when you do these pitches, right, is that you start revealing, when you reveal the idea, you start to see how other people react to it. And you realize that, oh, I shouldn't say it that way, or I should understand how to do it this way. And it's very much a sort of learning story. And you are understanding how to communicate what you're trying to do. And then the other thing that you have to realize is that you're making stuff up, right? All of this is made up. And so you have to, how do you actually get people to believe in something, to create something? Well, you have to just make it up so much and for so long that it becomes a story. It becomes something that people understand. So the benefits of pitching repeatedly, you go through a lot of sort of thinking of what this actually means, and thinking about what you are doing and how the other world is interpreting you. So when you create a business, you don't just create a business. It just doesn't, you create it and that's it. No, you actually build this thing and it continues on for a long time. It becomes a functioning thing. So you need to actually build this thing slowly to get to where it's something that may or may not exist without you. But that might take years and years and years to get there, right? So you can either accelerate it, and hopefully you do this by pitching to people to get investment that could accelerate it. But for most of us, it's kind of this sort of slow, tedious, it should go that way, I guess, slow, tedious process where it's just kind of a little bit by little bit by little bit until maybe eventually you might get some investors and go through that route. But often investors are really smart. I would consider myself an investor, I guess. I wouldn't put my money into something where somebody is just making this stuff up for the first time and it sounds like they're not convinced by what they're doing, right? Like, that makes no sense. So you have to actually show that you are doing something that is really exciting and that you're convinced by it. It's going to do something. It's actually going to become something. And the only way that you could do that is just by getting your hands dirty, getting messy, actually doing something, going out there, unless you have you come from a very wealthy family that has high status and all that kind of stuff, then it's easy because you just go talk to your friends or your parents' friends. But for many of us, that's not the case, right? So we have to figure out, how do we do this? And the only way I know how to do this is just do it and start figuring it out. I mean, you've got so many different resources at your fingertips now. You have a whole bunch of contract manufacturers you can get access to online. You can use all of this digital media stuff, all these digital platforms. Man, you got to do all of this kind of stuff to figure out how to get it to work. And once that works and you get other people encouraged and excited about what you're doing, then maybe you have something. But until then, I mean, don't worry about it. Don't get so excited about trying to get money and all that kind of stuff. That's not the end game. Getting money is not the end game, right? Like getting investment is never the end game. That's the start. That's the beginning. And then you go on from there. You start moving on from there. It's not like I got some investment, all of a sudden I'm rich. No. If I was an investor, think about it on the other side. If you were an investor and you saw some, 25-year-old kid or even, a 50-year-old that gets this money, and then all of a sudden they start partying and doing these kind of things, you'd be like, what the heck are you doing with my money? I don't want to see that at all. I want you to understand what it means to go through austerity and be very, very frugal with the money that you're investing, and make sure every little penny counts towards doing something that matters, that is turning towards something. So I want to see somebody that's actually done it and gone through it and shown in that they can actually do something, which means dedicating your life towards something for a long time, for a very, very long time, for next to nothing, and being okay with that. That's it. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Oh, the benefit of pitching so many times, you start to convince yourself that this thing is a real thing and not something that you're just making up. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.